Thank you for your patience.
So Christy, we good to go?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, perfect. I now call the December 16th, 2020 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Item 3, public comment. Citizens who desire to address the board with regard to matters on the agenda will be read and or received at this time. Members of the public desiring to make comments during this portion of the meeting will be allowed to submit their written comments to the office of the city secretary. Comments must be received by 3 p.m. Wednesday, December 16th, 2020, either written or via email. The City of Sugar Land reserves the right to remove any written or emailed comments deemed inappropriate and or not related to matters posted on the agenda. Comments or discussion by the board will only be made at the time the subject is scheduled for consideration. Christy, was there any public comments submitted?
No, sir, there was not.
Okay. Seeing no or hearing no public comments, then we'll move forward to item 4A, consideration of an action on the minutes of the November 18th, 2020 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review? And if so, does anyone have any corrections? Not hearing any, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Schwab. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right, Ms. Lindsay, thank you. We will vote and we will do roll call, and I will, if you can give a yay or nay when you hear your name. Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Mr. Preveda.
Yay.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morden.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca, myself, is a yay. And so the minutes are approved. Thank you all. Moving forward to item 5A, receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4807 Burberry Street, Lot 17, Block 3, Sudden Forest, Section 2, in the restricted single-family residential R1R district. Mr. Schomburg.
Good evening. Thank you. Good to see everybody, Mr. Chair and members of the board and alternates.
Good evening.
This evening, we are starting off with this particular special exception. As read, this is in Sutton Forest, Section 2, an R1R zoning area. This was platted back in 1993 and then formally brought into the city in 1997. That area took the large municipal utility district in at this area. The applicant is proposing a patio cover and an integrated bathroom addition with that. Next slide, please. And the recorded plat for the property, the recorded restrictions have an 8-foot rear utility easement at the back. The zoning requires a 30-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. The existing house is 21 feet from that rear property. There's also a detached garage that's located right at the line where the 8-foot utility easement is. However, in this case, the proposed patio cover, it's not just about attaching to the garage. The cover itself projects to the UE, not into the UE, but up to that, and attaches to the garage. The special exception would allow both to be, would allow the, not only the bathroom addition and the patio cover to be constructed as proposed. Next slide. So we'll take a look at the actual plot plan for it, the site plan. The site plan shows the cover extension coming off the garage and the house there. It's continuing essentially that plane of the garage along, which is 21 feet in width, 21.1 feet in width, and then connects up to the house. At no point is it encroaching any of that or the deed restrictions. Next slide. we can take a look at the elevations they have provided. The elevation shows not only the existing garage, which is most of the area where the red tile roof is, and then the proposed addition. You can see a window there in blue, and the rest of it is open patio cover with a ceiling fan. Next slide. This is an aerial view just to look closer here at the property in the back, and the garage does connect currently to the house. This will reshape that, and it will actually have the roof line continue along that garage with the hipped roof all the way to the end. Okay, next slide. This is taking a look at the area. We've had numerous special exceptions in this area due to the recorded restrictions being able to be utilized through this process. There are, at least in that immediate area, 3 homes that don't meet that setback. And of course, there are numerous special exceptions. There's 18 in total within this overall mapped area, including on the adjacent streets. Okay, next slide. So it does meet the first 3 criteria, and the platted prior to annexation. The recorded restrictions are less restrictive, but this request does not violate any recorded restriction, either by plat or deed restriction. And we've looked at it from a standpoint of the public welfare or any issues with the neighborhood. We don't have any apparent issues that we've seen. Next slide. Taking that further, we did the public hearing notice. We also notified the property owners within 200 foot, and as a courtesy, we always notify the HOAs. We had the online form in addition. At this point, we have not documented any inquiries or concerns. We're not aware of opposition to this. Next slide. So our recommendation is, following the public hearing, to approve the special exception for that patio cover and bathroom addition in accordance with the site plan and elevations they provide. Be happy to answer any questions after the public hearing. And we do have representatives. I don't know if they would like to give a presentation, but we do have the owner as well as contractor available if there are any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. At this time, we will open the public hearing, and to echo Doug's comments, if the owner or the contractor is present, do you have any desire to make a presentation or make any comments?
No. We okay.
No problem. Just wanted to make sure, since y'all were on the line. Anybody else in attendance that desired to speak at this public hearing? If not hearing any, I'll close the public hearing, and we'll move forward with the consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4807 Burberry Street, Lot 17, Block 3, in the restricted single-family residential R1R district. At this point, board, we will go through the 4 criteria that Doug touched on. First criteria: the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1993. Property annexed in 1997. We in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Second criteria: the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code. This recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement, and obviously the R1R district requires a setback not less than 30 feet. We in agreement with that second criteria?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Third criteria: granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. Obviously, the recorded plat for this property established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement, And obviously the applicant is not proposing to encroach on that 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement. We in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. And the fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Obviously, we heard from Doug and his comments related to this fourth criteria. Does the board have any questions or comments related to this particular criteria or just in general?
No.
Doug, and I just had one quick, it's more of a general reminder, the 200-foot notification to that's sent out, is that done via email, done via letter to the residents in that close proximity of the property?
That's done by a letter. We also, of course, post the notice on our city's website,
Right.
but that's done officially by mail per the code.
Okay, cool. I was just simply asking, obviously with them looking at that aerial and seeing obviously the sense of the closeness to the rear fence and obviously the two properties behind, I assume those two properties would be following that 200-foot radius, I'm assuming.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, thank you, Doug. Any other questions from the board at this time? If not, we'll move forward. And obviously, we've talked about the 4 criteria. We'll move forward to touching on the 3 key aspects that staff has examined during this process. First being public safety. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second aspect was the proposal as it relates to the neighborhood and the rear yard setback comparison. The proposed patio cover and bathroom addition appears to be compatible with the neighborhood based on an analysis of the surrounding area. There appear to be 3 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback of 30 feet. And additionally, as Doug mentioned, there are 18 approved similar special exceptions in the area. And the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and restrictions. And then the third key aspect relates to the general architectural component. The proposed patio cover and bathroom addition appears to be architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and neighborhood. And obviously elevations have been or can be included for certainty, which we probably will want to do that. So we've gone through the criteria. We've talked about the aspects. Any lingering questions from the board? Not hearing any, we can move forward. And do we have a motion on the special exception?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, Herb.
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements in the restricted single-family residential R-1R district for the property located at 4807 Burberry Street, Lot 17, Block 3, Sutton Forest, Section 2, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover and bathroom addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Okay, great. Thank you, Herb. Herb, we have a motion from Herb. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, have a second from Karen. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. We will do roll call. So when you hear your name, please give a yay or a nay. Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Mr. Pruveda. Got you on mute.
Sorry. Yay.
No worries. Miss Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morden.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is a yay. The special exception is approved unanimously. Thank you, board. Moving forward to item 5B, public hearing related to receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 3002 South Blue Meadow Circle, Lot 56, Block 2, Colony Bend, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. Mr. Schomburg.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move to the next slide. This is looking at the vicinity map of the area. We are within that Colony Bend area, and all of that overall neighborhood is zoned R1. This was planted back in 1978, some of the early first colony area. It was brought into the city in 1991 as part of that mud annexation. The applicant is proposing a patio cover addition between that and the currently a detached garage. Go ahead, next slide. So the recorded plat for the property did establish an 8-foot rear utility easement. The R1 zoning district, its standard rear yard setback is 15 feet. And the existing house has that detached garage. Currently, the garage is at just around 11.9 feet from the rear property line. The cover, though, is going to be larger than a breezeway, so therefore it triggers the overall from the house all the way over to be part of the primary structure, since it's not just attached with the breezeway only. It is triggering those requirements. The special exception would allow them to construct as proposed. And we'll go on and take a look in the next slide here. This is looking at the property, the existing house, and then coming off that toward the back, there's a one-story garage. Again, the garage is not only out of the easement, it's several feet in addition out of the easement to 11.9. But by this being larger than a 6-foot wide breezeway, this would trigger the requirements to meet the primary structure setbacks for everything.
Right.
Go ahead and go to the next slide. This is a elevation sketch of what the will be. They have a pool there, and this will have a partly pitched roof to it, and then will be integrated in with the garage there. So coming over by the pool. Next slide. This is a look, excerpt looking at a close-up view. It currently has one of the standard breezeways that a lot of the detached garage has, but this would widen that out for that. You can see the pool area there and some of that back open patio area currently. Next slide. And we can see in the neighborhood here, this is looking a little closer at the neighborhood. We believe that architecturally compatible. There are at least 7 in the vicinity that do not meet that rear setback due to construction. And there are at least 5 overall special exceptions in the area that we've got showing on the map here. Next slide. So in terms of the criteria, the platting prior to annexation, the recorded restrictions, less restrictive than the zoning, but not less restrictive. The proposal is not less restrictive than those recorded restrictions by plat or deed restriction. And then the 4th one, we've looked at it. We do not see any apparent issues based on the proposal itself and how it's being proposed. Next slide. As part of the public hearing, we did the notifications, the newspaper and the website, the 200-foot notification, HOA is part of that, and online forums if anybody had comments. Again, this is one where we did not receive comments. We're not aware of any opposition or concerns expressed at this time. Next slide. So following the public hearing, we do recommend approval of the special exception with the materials provided, the site plan and elevations to it. Be happy to answer any other questions after the hearing. I believe we've got the owner on the line. If there are any questions, I don't believe he had a presentation, but I think it's Mr. Ray Riddell or Riddle is on if there are any.
Yeah, I don't have any. I appreciate your consideration.
Perfect. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ray. We'll move forward and we'll still open up the public hearing associated with this special exception. Is there anyone else on the line that desires to speak at this public hearing? Not hearing any. We'll close the public hearing and we'll move forward and to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 3002 South Blue Meadow Circle, Lot 56, Block 2, Colony Bend, Section 2 in the standard single-family residential R1 district. This time, board will go through the 4 criteria. The first criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1978, property annexed in 1991. Are we in agreement with that fact?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great, thank you, everyone. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code. Obviously, in this situation, the recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement, and the R1 district requires a 15-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. Are we in agreement with that statement?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, y'all. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. Obviously, as Doug outlined on his presentation, the recorded plat for this property established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line. The applicant is not proposing to encroach on that easement. And the special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than this 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement. Are we in agreement with that criteria?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then we'll go into the fourth criteria is granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Obviously, Doug made reference to that in his presentation. Does the board have any questions, comments, concerns about this fourth criteria, or at the same time, any questions related to the presentation?
I have an easy question, I think.
Sure, go ahead, Herb.
On the picture that showed the proposed patio cover, the rear view, I'm assuming, I didn't see anywhere in here, but I'm assuming that the patio cover is going to have shingles on there that matches the house. Is
That is correct. Yeah, I'm the homeowner. Yes, that is correct.
And Doug, since that's not, or is that listed is that assumed in the application, or do we need to say that specifically?
It is, I'm looking at the drawing on a separate screen here. And that, it talks mainly about the pitch, so
yeah,
that may be appropriate as a condition if the board feels like it, because there's several different ways you could roof it. I believe they will certainly follow what they said, but that could be part of the condition if you would like.
And I believe that they will. I mean, I have no doubt that they will, but I didn't know if we needed to say it or not.
I'm sorry, as a homeowner, can I add one comment? In the original proposal,
Hey, Ray, let me stop you for 1 second. Christy, do I need to swear in Ray if we're going to let him speak to this extent?
I believe so. Is that correct, Ms. Thomas?
He can answer this question because the public hearing has closed and this is just him answering questions from the board. So that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Ray, but just wanted to make sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to comment that on the original request, there should have been a picture of the driveway side of the roof that says shingles to match house. So I don't know if you have that in your record or not, but I believe that was submitted to the city.
Yeah, I may be overlooking it. I don't see that, but
Okay.
Yeah, I know that the HOA letter, I guess, said that, but I guess I'd like to include that as part of the motion.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Herb. Any other questions from the board? So not hearing any, and I guess before we move to the 3 key aspects, let's kind of button up the fourth criteria. Is everybody on board? Everybody okay with this criteria that there's no detrimental aspect to the public welfare or injurious to the property? We in agreement with that?
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we've gone through the 4 criteria. Let's touch on the 3 key aspects that staff has examined. The first being public safety. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second being the proposal in the neighborhood rear yard setback comparison. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single family residence. There appear to be there appear to be 7 homes in the area that do not meet this rear setback of 15 feet. And at the same time, there's also 5 approved special exceptions already in the overall area that we're talking about. Finally, the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And then the third key aspect is general architectural. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single family residence, and obviously including Herb's comment in properties in the neighborhood and elevations. Let me rephrase that. Compatible with the existing single family residence and properties in the neighborhood and elevations. And I guess Herb's additional note can be included for certainty. So we've gone through the 4 criteria, the 3 key aspects. Any lingering questions, comments from the board? If there are no other questions or comments, we will move forward. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 3002 South Blue Meadow Circle, Lot 56, Block 2, Colony Bend, Section 2, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception, and that the roof of this tiles be consistent with the roof tiles currently on the home.
Ms. Thomas, are you okay with that language?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Schwab. We have a motion and a second. We'll move forward and do a roll call for votes. Yay or nay when you hear your name, please. Mr. Schwab?
Yay.
Mr. Preveda?
Yay.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yay.
And Mr. Morden?
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is a yay as well. The special exception is unanimously passed. Thank you all. Okay, moving forward. Item 5C. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4023 Monticello Drive, Lot 1, Block 2, Sweetwater, Section 4 in the restricted single-family residential R1R district. Doug, you are up again.
Up again. We're going to move into the Sweetwater area here this evening. It's just south of Palm Royale. This neighborhood was platted back in 1995 and then brought in 1997. It subsequently had the R1R zoning put on it at that time. Their proposal is a patio cover that will match the existing home there. And we'll go to the next slide. This has 2 factors that are being met as far as recorded restrictions. The recorded plat itself established an 8-foot rear utility easement, and the recorded deed restrictions established a setback that the house can't be closer than 15 foot from the rear. So the utility easement is within that 15 foot. So there's no issue, but one is by plat and one is by recorded deed restrictions. So the R1R zoning requires a 30-foot rear setback for primary structures. That existing house was built in accordance with the deed restrictions setback of 15 feet and followed that at the time, pre-city. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the next slide here. We can see the drawing here. So orienting a little bit, we're at the corner of the property, and the existing house in orange there, that is right at that 15-foot rear building line. The patio area is shown in blue, and it will not exceed that building line. It'll be with the plane of that other portion of the house there. And then there's a little bit that's an inset area, but it's going to match that. Next to that area is the pool and rest of open paved area. We'll go to the next slide. And here we can see it coming off the house, and it's got part of an outdoor kitchen there as well. So this would, again, follow that plane of the house, meeting both the deed restriction as well as no issues with the recorded plat. Next slide. Here we can see the property at the corner. We're looking a little closer there. We can see property as it's roofed currently, and there's also the pool and some of the paved area in the back. Next slide. So this is taking a look at a little bit broader overview of the neighborhood. There's at least 9 homes that don't meet that rear yard setback. They look to meet the deed restrictions, but not the current zoning. There are 4 approved special exceptions that are captured on this map that are in the area there. Next slide. It does meet the first 3 criteria, including those deed restrictions, not just the plat. And we do not see any issues with the construction or the elevations as proposed. Next slide. Looking at the public hearing criteria, we did notify all the processes there as stated. We did not receive inquiries on this. The applicant has been working with their HOA as part of that too. We're not aware of any opposition or concerns. Next slide. Our recommendation is approval of the special exception following the public hearing in accordance with that site plan and those elevations as proposed. Be happy to address any comments after the public hearing. I believe that we've got both the contractor, Mr. Stephen Shell, and the property owners are on as well.
Okay, excellent.
And I don't believe they've got a presentation, but I think they're available for any questions.
Okay,
about the Nances.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. At this time, we'll open the public hearing associated with this special exception. I know Doug mentioned already, but let me just make sure the owner or the contractor have any desire to make any comments.
I'm the contractor. I don't.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else on the Zoom call that would like to speak at this public hearing? Not hearing any, we will we'll close the public hearing and we'll move forward to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4023 Monticello Drive. Sorry about that. Lot 1, Block 2, Sweetwater, Section 4 in the restricted single-family residential R1R district. At this time, board will go through the 4 criteria. First criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1995, property annexed in 1997. We're in agreement with this criteria?
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code. Obviously, the recorded plat here established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement, and the R1R district requires a 30-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. We're in agreement with this criteria.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. As the presentation stated, obviously recorded plat for the property established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement and a 15-foot overall rear yard setback was created by the recorded deed restrictions. The special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than these particular restrictions. We're in agreement with this third criteria.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Any issues, questions, concerns with this fourth criteria or just general questions on the presentation? Anyone on the board?
No.
Okay. Not hearing any questions. Are we in agreement then with the staff's recommendation that related to the fourth criteria that the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious? Are we all in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we've gone through the four criteria. Let's touch on the three key aspects that staff has also examined. The first being public safety. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second being the proposal and the neighborhood rear yard setback comparison. As we've talked about, the proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single-family residence. There appear to be 9 homes in the area that do not meet this rear yard setback of 30 feet, and there are 4 approved special exceptions in the overall area, as we saw on the aerial. The proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And the third key aspect, the general architectural. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with this existing single-family residence and properties in the neighborhood, and elevations, obviously, as we saw, can be included for certainty. So we've gone through the 4 criteria, 3 key aspects. Any lingering questions from the board? Not hearing any. I actually do have one real fast, Doug, and it's probably more, not to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but more just FYI for the future. So they obviously aren't encroaching into the 15-foot deed restriction easement. But what if there was a property that they wanted to encroach on the 15, but outside the 8? Well, I guess, how would that work as it relates to approvals? I mean, I guess
right. In that case, the board would have to treat that as a recorded restriction, just like the plat, and would not be able to approve it due to the third criteria. That's correct. So we would advise them not to move forward. If someone insisted to move forward, we would advise against approval. Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Thanks for that tidbit. Okay. Any other questions, board? If not, then is there a motion for this special exception?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, Herb.
Go ahead. We'll make sure I have the right address. I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements in the restricted single-family residential R1R district for the property located at 4023 Monticello Drive, Lot 1, Block 2, Sweetwater, Section 4, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Schwab. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Ms. Lindsay, we have a second from Ms. Lindsay. So we have a motion and a second. We will do roll call vote. Yay or nay when you hear your name, please. Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Mr. Puveda.
Yay.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morden.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is also a yay. The special exception is unanimously passed. Thank you, board. Thank you, Doug. Moving forward, item 5D, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4843 Periwinkle Court, Lot 47, Block 2, Lexington Meadows, in the standard single family residential R1 district. Ms. Waller. Maybe. Maybe on mute.
Laura, you're muted.
Or did we lose Laura?
No, you didn't.
Oh, there we are.
Okay, it's working now. So after what is happening?
You're good, I think.
We've had a marathon meeting already, but we still have 4 more items to go. So this item is a patio cover on the rear of a residence in Lexington Meadows. This is directly behind the B2 area along 59 at 59 near Lexington, and University would be just off to the left in the vicinity map. It's plotted in 1993 and annexed in 1997. Next slide. This is in the R1 standard district, so it does have a 15-foot rear yard setback. The existing garage is approximately 12.3 feet from the rear property line and connected by a breezeway. The proposed patio cover would attach to the rear of the home and the front of the garage, triggering the garage to be considered primary structure. And so the special exception would allow that patio cover to be built so that the garage can meet the 8-foot utility easement as established on the plan. Next slide. So this is a basic image of what the patio cover would look like. It does replace the breezeway. So you can see the breezeway is outlined in a light red dash here on the left side. And the patio cover would replace that completely. And again, it would attach to the front of the garage and the back of the house. Next slide. These are the elevations. Proposed canopies and other materials are to match the existing materials. Next slide. This is a Google excerpt. So this is the home in question here. The purple arrow there in the middle is showing the existing breezeway, and so that existing concrete underneath it is where approximately where the proposed patio cover would be placed. Next slide. This does appear to be architecturally compatible with the neighborhood. There are about 7 homes nearby that don't meet that 15-foot rear setback. That's primarily due to wider than 6-foot connections, although there are a couple homes themselves that look like they might be close to the 15 feet. And there are 2 approved special exceptions in the general vicinity. However, they are not pictured in this map. Next slide. This does meet the first 3 standard criteria. As to the 4th criteria, there does not appear to be any injury to the neighborhood. Next slide. Public hearing requirements were all met, HOA notified and mailers sent out. An online form was available to provide comments. However, we received no forms or phone calls, and staff is not aware of any opposition. Next slide. Therefore, we do recommend approval of the patio cover with the condition that it is constructed in accordance with the attached site plan and elevations. Staff is happy to answer any questions after the conclusion of the public hearing.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. We will we'll open the public hearing at this time. Is the owner or a contractor or anyone else present that would like to speak or give any type of presentation?
We're the owner, but we don't have a presentation. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Anyone else on the line? Okay, not hearing any. We will close the public hearing and we'll move forward to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4843 Periwinkle Court, Lot 47, Block 2, Lexington Meadows, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. At this time, board, you know what we will do. We'll go through the 4 criteria. First criteria being the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1993 and the property was annexed in 1997. Are we in agreement with this first criteria?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code. As we've seen, this recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement. In comparison, the R1 district requires a 15-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. We in agreement with this second criteria, board?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. As Laura referenced, the recorded plat for this property established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line. Obviously, the applicant is not proposing to encroach on that easement, and this special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive. So we in agreement with this third criteria?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. And the fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Board, any questions, comments on this fourth criteria? Any concerns?
I have a question for Laura.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you say that in the written report, it says that there was one phone inquiry? Did you say that?
That was the property owner. Mr. Arrington had called me, just asking if he needed to do anything. Yeah.
All right, so he's in favor of this, I guess, huh?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It was a tough conversation. Any other comments from the board? Okay, everybody in agreement with the fourth criteria?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we've talked about the four criteria, and so we'll move forward and talk about review the three key aspects that staff has examined for this special exception. The first being public safety review. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second being the proposal in the neighborhood rear yard setback comparison. As we saw in the presentation, the proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single family residence. There appear to be 7 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback of 15 feet. And also there are 2 approved special exceptions in the area surrounding the property. And finally, the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And the third key aspect relates to general architectural. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single family residence and properties in the neighborhood, and the elevations that that were part of the presentation can be included for certainty. So we've gone through the four criteria, and we've touched on the 3 key aspects. Any lingering questions, concerns, comments from the board? Not hearing any. We will move forward, and I will ask the board for a motion, please. Any takers?
I'll make a motion.
Excellent. Go ahead, Mr. Morton.
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 4843 Harrywinkle Court, Lot 47, Block 2, Lexington Meadows, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Morton. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, I think that was Mr. Pruveda with the second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We'll move forward and do a roll call of votes. So a yay or nay when you hear your name, please. Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Mr. Pruveda.
Yay.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morton.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is a yay as well. And so this special exception is unanimously passed. Thank you, board. Thank you, Laura. Moving forward, item 5E, receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 1514 Moon Shadow Court, Lot 13, Block 2, Greatwood Trails, Section 2, in the interim standard single family residential R1I district. Laura, you're up.
Okay. So once more, we head into Greatwood. So this is it was platted in 1990 and annexed with the rest of Greatwood in 2017. And the proposal again is a patio cover. Next slide. The recorded plat did establish an 8-foot rear utility easement. However, standard single family requires 15 feet. The existing garage is approximately 9.4 feet, which is allowed because it's considered accessory structure due to the breezeway rather than a patio cover. However, this new patio cover would be up to 5 feet 8 inches within the near to the garage. So that does trigger the primary structure connection. So the garage is now considered primary and must meet the 15-foot rear yard setback. The special exception does allow the patio cover to be built as proposed and would let the garage meet the 8-foot rear utility easement as the rear setback. Next slide. So this is a site plan. Highlighted in red there, you can see the call out that shows where the patio cover does reach 5 feet 8 inches from the corner of the garage there. This patio cover does not tie into the breezeway at all. The breezeway will remain only 6 feet wide, but this does do the proximity. So typically you would have to have a 10-foot separation in order to consider, to stay considered accessory. But this proximity does mean that the garage is now primary. Next slide. The exterior elevations do call out the proposed patio cover with similar materials to the existing home. Next slide. This is a Google excerpt. If you look directly in the middle, let me see if I can pull out my little arrow. This is approximately where the patio cover would go. These homeowners are putting in a new in-ground pool. As you can see, there might be a little small circular above ground pool, so they would be removing that to put in the more permanent in-ground pool with the patio cover there on the rear of their home. Next slide. An analysis of the area did reveal that there are about 8 homes nearby that don't meet their rear yard setback of 15 feet. There are also 8 approved special exceptions in the Greatwood area, although none of them are within the immediate vicinity here in the map. This addition does appear to be architecturally compatible with the neighborhood and existing home. Next slide. This does meet the first 3 standard criteria. As to the 4th, there do not appear to be any issues with public welfare. Next slide. Public hearing requirements were all met, mailers sent out, and the HOA notified. There was an online form available, as well as a phone number given out. However, no inquiries were received, and staff is not aware of any opposition. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of the patio cover with the condition that it be constructed in accordance with the attached site plan and elevations. Staff is happy to answer any questions at the conclusion of the public hearing. I believe there is also a representative available for any questions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. All right, moving forward, we will open the public hearing for the special exception. Is the owner or contractor or representative or anyone else interested in speaking at this public hearing? Okay.
Just want to say thank you to Laura and to the board for their time this evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate those comments. Anyone else on the line that desires to speak? If not, I'm not hearing anyone. We will close the public hearing and we'll move forward to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 1514 Moon Shadow Court, Lot 13, Block 2, Greatwood Trails, Section 2, in the interim standard single-family residential R1I district. At this time, we'll move forward with the 4 criteria in terms of discussing each. Number 1, the first criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1990, and this property was annexed in 2017. So are we in agreement with that?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code. As we have observed, this recorded plat for this property establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement, and the interim R1I district requires a 15-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. So we in agreement with the second criteria?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. As Laura outlined, the recorded plat for this property established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line. Obviously, the applicant is not proposing to encroach on this particular easement, and the special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than this 8-foot setback established on the plat. We're in agreement with this third criteria?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And finally, the fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Any discussion, any comments on this fourth criteria? Are we all in agreement with this particular criteria?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. At this time, I'll open it up for the board. Is there any questions, comments, clarifications to the presentation or anything else that we'd like to ask? Okay, not hearing any, we'll continue to move forward. We've obviously gone through the four criteria now. We'll touch on the aspects that the three key aspects that staff has examined as part of this special exception. The first being public safety review. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second being the proposal in the neighborhood rear yard setback comparison. As Laura outlined, the proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single-family residence. There appear to be 8 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback of 15. And although we didn't see it on the aerial, there are 8 approved special exceptions in the overall Greatwood area. And finally, the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And the third key aspect, general architectural. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence as well as properties in the neighborhood. And if desired, we can include the elevations as part of our motion. So 4 criteria check, 3 key aspects check. Any lingering questions, concerns, issues from the board specific to this special exception? Okay, not hearing any, then we can move forward, and I will ask the board, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, great, Karen.
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements in the interim standard single-family residential R1I district for the property located at 1514 Moon Shadow Court, Lot 13, Block 2, Greatwood Trails, Section 2, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. Motion. We have a motion from Karen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Second from Herb. So we have a motion and a second. We will roll call for votes. Yay or nay when you hear your name, please. Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Mr. Purveda.
Yay.
Miss Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morden.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is also a yay. So this special exception unanimously passes. Thank you, board. Thank you, Laura. Moving forward, item 5F. I don't think we've ever gone to F before. Public hearing, receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 56 Bradford Circle, Lot 17, Block 1, Commonwealth Park, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. Ms. Waller.
Okay, next to last one. We're getting closer. So this is on the south side of the city, south of the R1R area, still in the First Colony area though. This is a plat called Colony Park. It was platted in 1988 and annexed in 1997. And again, the proposal is a patio cover. Next slide. R1 does require a 15-foot rear yard setback. However, the existing garage is only 10 feet from the rear property line. Although it's currently connected by a breezeway, so it's considered accessory, the proposed cover would attach to the rear of the home and front of the garage, thus making the garage primary structure now. So the special exception would allow the, there's a typo there, but it would allow the patio cover to meet the rear yard setback as recorded on the plat. Next slide. So highlighted in yellow there and striped is the proposed patio. It would tie into the existing breezeway and connect the rear of the home to the front of the garage. Next slide. This is a proposed rear elevation. The patio cover would match existing materials. Next slide. This is a Google excerpt. The home in question is the second one over, the one that has a pool in the rear yard. I believe that the arrow should be popping up soon. So this, there is an existing aluminum pergola with a flat rooftop on it. However, the homeowners are wanting to replace that with a nicer brick and wood with a full shingled cover. So they are moving forward with a special exception in order to replace the existing cover. Next slide. An analysis of the area does show approximately 6 homes that do not meet the rear yard setback requirement of 15 feet. And there are 2 approved special exceptions highlighted in blue there that are in the immediate vicinity. Next slide. The special exception criteria are met as far as the first 3 standard ones. As to the 4th criteria, there do not seem to be any issues with public welfare. Next slide. Public hearing requirements were all met, notification posted in the newspaper and online. Mailers were sent out to property owners within 200 feet, as well as to the HOA, and an online form was made available. We did receive 1 comment form that was included in your packets that went out with the report, as well as 2 phone inquiries. However, staff answered questions and responded with site plans and is not aware of any opposition to the special exception. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of the patio cover with the conditions constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations. Staff is happy to answer any questions after the public hearing, and we don't have any representatives available, but I can answer any questions you have.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. We will, let's move forward. We'll open up the public hearing. Obviously, the owner is not present, but is there anyone on the Zoom call that desires to speak at this public hearing? Okay, not hearing anyone, we will close the public hearing and move forward to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 56 Bradford Circle, Lot 17, Block 1, Commonwealth Park, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. At this time, we will go through the criteria that we are getting very familiar with. First criteria, the latest recorded plat for the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. With this property, the plat was recorded in 1988. Property annexed in 1997. We in agreement with this first criteria?
Yes.
Okay, great, great, thank you. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code. As Laura outlined, the recorded plat for this property establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement. In comparison, the R1 district requires a 15-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. Are we in agreement with this second criteria?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. As we saw in the presentation, the property has it established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line. The applicant is not proposing to encroach on this existing easement, and in parallel, the special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than this 8-foot easement that was established on the plat. Are we all in agreement with this third criteria?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or interest to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Staff did not see anything that they deemed concern. Does the board have any concerns, questions on this particular fourth criteria? If not, are we in agreement with this fourth criteria?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, we've gone through the four criteria. Before we move forward, any initial questions, comments, clarifications from the board for Laura? If not, I don't hear any. We'll move forward and examine the three key aspects that staff has examined associated with this special exception. The first being public safety review. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second being the proposal in the neighborhood rear yard setback comparison. As we heard, the proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single family residence. There appear to be 6 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback of 15 feet. And in parallel, there are 2 approved special exceptions in the area. Finally, the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And the third aspect examined by staff, the general architectural, the proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single family residence and properties in the neighborhood, and elevations that we saw in the presentation can be included for certainty. Any lingering questions, comments, concerns by the board, for the board, or not for the board, by the board? Any questions? If not, then we will move forward. We've touched on the 4 criteria, talked about the 3 key aspects. Is there a motion?
I have a motion.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead, Mr. Morton.
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 56 Bradford Circle, Lot 17, Block 1, Commonwealth Park, Section 2, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Morton. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We'll move forward with a vote, and obviously we will do it roll call, yay or nay, as we've done before. When you hear your name, Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Mr. Purveda.
Yay.
Miss Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morden.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is a yay as well. And so that is a unanimous approval to approve the special exception. Thank you, board. Thank you, Laura. And last but not least, item 5G, receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the street side yard setback for 7710 Old Tree Court, Lot 7, Block 2, Greatwood, Tuscany Place in the interim standard single family residential R1I district. Laura.
Good evening. So this one is slightly different. That's why we've saved it for last. So this area is a Greatwood Tuscany Place. It's real close to the golf course. So the area in green there would be the limited purpose annex for streets and the golf course in the Greatwood area. But this home itself was platted in 1998 and then annexed in 2017. The proposal is a master bedroom addition. And again, this is a special exception to the street side setback. Next slide. So R1I does require a 20-foot street side yard setback, and that is from the property line, not from the back of the curb of the street. So that 20-foot street side yard setback is required by zoning. The recorded plat only established a 15-foot street side setback, and the existing home is approximately 18 feet 5 inches from the street side property line. The addition is to be in line with the existing home at 18 feet 5 inches from the street side, which does meet the platted 15-foot setback. However, that is approximately 1.5 feet inside of that 20-foot street side setback. Next slide. So this is a site plan showing you approximately where that, so the addition is the striped area here in the rear along the back of the house. And as you can see, this is 18 feet 4 1/16 inches, I believe, is the inches there. So we just rounded up to 18 feet 5 inches. And that is from the wall of the property to the property line. Again, that is inside the 15-foot setback, which is the dashed line where the fence is on the right side. And then there was also a 10-foot water line. So both the 10-foot water line and the 15-foot build line are platted restrictions that this house does still have to meet. And with the 18-foot 5 inch, they would meet those platted restrictions. Next slide. The exterior elevations call out for similar material to the existing house, so the addition would blend seamlessly with the house that's already in place. Next slide. The Google excerpt shows that this house is the one there on the corner because there is the street side. There's not a street side for interior lines. So the rear of the home where the addition would be is right where that purple arrow is showing. And you can see how the home does seem to be a similar distance off the street from the other homes there nearby. Again, that is a 15-foot platted setback rather than the zoning setback, which is 20 feet nowadays. Next slide. An aerial analysis does also show that basically every single home that is a corner home meets the 15-foot platted setback. None of them appear to meet the 20-foot street side setback. There are 8 approved special exceptions in the area. However, none of them are street side. They're all rear yard setbacks. But again, highlighted in yellow are the 7 homes that do not appear to meet the 20-foot street side setback. Next slide. This does meet the first 3 standard criteria. As to the 4th, there does not appear any issue with public welfare. Next slide. Public hearing requirements were all met, mailers sent out and HOA notified. An online form was available to provide comments as well. However, staff did not receive any inquiries and is not aware of any opposition to the special exception. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval that the addition, with the condition, the addition is constructed in accordance with the attached site plan and elevations. Staff is happy to answer any questions. We do not have the property owner or contractor on the line, but I should be able to answer any questions you have.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move forward. We'll open up the public hearing. Obviously, as Laura mentioned, owner and the contractor are not on the Zoom call, but I will open the public hearing and ask if there is anyone on the Zoom call that desires to speak at this particular public hearing. Not hearing anyone, we will close the public hearing and move forward to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the street side yard setback for 7710 Old Tree Court, Lot 7, Block 2, Greatwood, Tuscany Place in the interim standard single family residential R1I district. At this time, we'll go through the 4 criteria. First criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. Clearly, that's the case. Plat was recorded in 1998. The property was not annexed until 2017. Are we in agreement with that?
Yes.
Excellent. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code. The recorded plat for this property establishes a 15-foot street side yard setback. In comparison, the interim R1I district requires a 20-foot street side yard setback for primary structures. In agreement with the second criteria?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. As Laura outlined, this property has an established 15-foot street side yard setback adjacent to the street side property line. The applicant is not proposing to encroach on this recorded setback. And at the same time, the special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established on the plat or other recorded restrictions. We're in agreement with this third criteria.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Finally, the fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or interest to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Obviously, staff has provided their comments on this fourth criteria. Any questions, comments, concerns from the board with this fourth criteria? If not, are we in agreement with the fourth criteria?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Perfect. We've gone through the four criteria. Before we move forward with the three key aspects, any questions, comments, clarifications, concerns for Laura? Okay, not hearing any, we'll move forward to, as I just mentioned, the three key aspects that staff has examined as it relates to the special exception. The public safety review is the first. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second being the proposal in the neighborhood or street side yard setback comparison. As outlined in the presentation, the proposed residential addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single-family residence. There appear to be 7 homes in the area that do not meet the street side yard setback of 20 feet. In concert, there are 8 approved special exceptions in the overall Greatwood area. And finally, the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And the third item, third key aspect, general architectural. The proposed residential addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and properties in the neighborhood, and the elevations included in the presentation can be included for certainty. So we've hit on the 3 key aspects. We've talked about the 4 criteria. Any final thoughts, comments, questions from the board? If not, we'll move forward. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, great, Mr. Priveda, go ahead.
I move that the special exception to the street side yard setback requirements in the interim standard single-family residential R1I district for the property located at 7710 Old Tree Court, Lot 7, Block 2, Greatwood, Tuscany Place, be granted with the conditions that the residential addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, great. Thanks, Karen. So we have a motion and a second. We'll do voting via roll call. Yay or nay when you hear your name, please. Mr. Morden, we'll change it up. Keep you on your toes. Mr. Morden.
Yay.
Miss Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Priveda.
Yay.
Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is a yay as well. The special exception passes unanimously. Thank you, board, for your attention on all the items. Thank you, Doug and Laura. Appreciate the presentations. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
We will take the vote via hand raise. I see everybody's hand raised. That is unanimous. Appreciate that. At this time, the December 16th, 2020 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Happy
Have
holidays,
great
everybody.
holidays.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have 2 confirmed cases for January, so it should be a much